He has a still shot of what he
keep
was.
Tina's mind off of
And he'll say, keep reaching for the stars.
Nice. All right, so ready? All right. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for our January 13th school board meeting. Before we get started, it's customary for us to say a prayer.
If you'd like to join me? Lord, we thank you for a new year and a fresh start. Be with our students and staff as they start a new semester. Keep us safe and healthy during these winter months and watch over us tonight and be with us as we conduct the business of our schools. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. I'll call the meeting into order. This is a little different meeting than we normally do. We've got some state requirements that we have to do some reorganization of the board. And then we'll get to the recognition part, which is probably why you guys are all here. So unless you're here for the fun part of the board reorganization. So first line of business is to elect a president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Lamb for president, please.
All right. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing that, all those in favor of electing Mr. Lamb as president, signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President. I'm out.
You do.
That was a quick,
Yeah.
all
No
right,
speeches.
let's move on to the vice president then. Do I have nominations for the vice president?
Yes, I would like to nominate Ryan.
Thank you. Any other nominations? All right, let's, all those in favor of Ryan becoming our next vice president, sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ryan, congratulations. Moving to the secretary position.
Nominate Becky, please.
Thank you. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Becky being our secretary with sign of aye? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Becky. Next item, we'll continue with our board member salary. Our current salary is $2,000 annual and with no per diem allowances. All in favor of that with the sign of aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, continue with the salary. Our board meeting schedules. We're routinely, we meet the second Monday of each month, starting at 7 p.m. I'd like to keep that in through 2020. Take a motion for that.
Move for approval.
Move for
Yeah.
approval. Okay. Any comments or questions before that?
The one comment would be that the October board meeting is fall break, and traditionally we move that to the third Monday of the month because of that.
Okay. So we're approving the schedule that's posted on the agenda. So all those in favor, by the sign of aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll keep the same schedule.
Thank you.
The appointment of the committees, I think I've got input from everyone. I'd still like to confirm a couple, so I'll follow up on our next assignment for those.
And Mr. Lamb, we're going to combine superintendent strategic plan projects and strategic task force to one group, the superintendent strategic council. So we'll have to look at both of those domains as we travel forward. So we won't need two people for that, just need one.
All right. Next item is the appointment of our treasurer. I'd like to nominate Mrs. Gross for that assignment. Do we have any other nominations? All those in favor of Mrs. Gross with the sign of aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mrs. Gross, unfortunately, you have the job. We need a deputy treasurer. Help me out, Dr. Clendenning. How did we do that last year?
Yeah, no, we're recommending Tammy Jackson.
Tammy Jackson. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Tammy Jackson being our deputy treasurer with the sign of aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Tammy has the position. And then finally, our final item is our retaining our legal counsel for the board. And we're all in favor of maintaining Roger as our legal counsel with the sign of aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Roger. All right, going on to recognition. Dr. Clendenning.
Thank you. We're going to recognize 4 individuals tonight. So, Mrs. Worland.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. As always, we look at our guiding principles for this recognition time. We're going to focus on individual student growth here first. Central 9 Students of the Month for the month of December. Each month, C9 asks their instructors to identify students who have shown character and work ethic. These students can then be named Student of the Month for each of their programs. For the month of December, we have 2 of our high school students that we would like to recognize. Congratulations to both of them. We have Dakota Wycliffe. Dakota, please come forward if you're here. In precision machining, and Sloan Connor in visual communications. Congratulations, Sloan.
Congratulations, Sloan. I'm going to give you this, and you get to introduce anyone that's with you tonight and talk a little bit about your C9 program.
Okay. That's my family over there, my mom and my dad and my brother. I go to C9 for visual communications, which is graphics. We work on posters, t-shirts, that good stuff. And then we also work with Photoshop and Illustrator and Adobe. So.
And what do you hope to do when you've graduated?
Something with fine arts. I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm definitely figuring it out.
All right. Well, congratulations on this award. And we're going to get a picture with the board president. Give your mom, dad a chance to take some pictures, and then we'll get a picture for our website. Did you? Congratulations.
Congratulations again. Congratulations to all of you. It is with great pleasure we are here to announce that Emma Dillon, do you want to go ahead and come forward? Emma Dillon was named a Lilly Scholarship winner. Emma was selected from students across the state to receive a full tuition scholarship. The endowment selects students based on a variety of factors, but toward the top of the list is community service and academic success. Congratulations on this outstanding accomplishment. Congratulations, Emma.
You want to talk just a little about what your future plans are now that you are the Lilly recipient, and introduce anyone that's with you tonight.
That's my mom, Michelle Dillon. And my future plans, I got direct admission to the Kelly School of Business at IU, and I plan to go into marketing there, maybe a nonprofit organization in the future.
All right, well, congratulations. This is the 3rd year in a row that Franklin has received at least one of the Lilly recipients for Johnson County. So way to keep the streak alive, and congratulations.
Thanks.
We'll get one picture. Yep. IU's getting a great person. Do you know the fight song yet?
No.
Okay. Exactly.
I have the honor.
Oh, it's
It's
on.
on? Okay. I have the honor of recognizing one of my employees tonight. Please welcome me in congratulating Carrie Hoffman on completing the required courses for the Indiana ASBO Voluntary Certification Program, earning her certification designation as a business office specialist.
Great. There you go. Here, we'll get a picture of all of us. Yep. Go picture. We gotta get a picture. Yep. And Andy, come on back up. Yep. Here, we'll have you stay right here. Andy's coming too. So we gotta, yeah. All right. We gotta go that way. All right. Mr. Lamb, that will conclude recognitions for this evening. Thank you. Thank you. All right, bye. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
All right, here's your opportunity. If you
So sorry.
are not here for recognition, you are welcome to slip out the side door. Otherwise, we're going to start into the agenda. So we'll open up with public comments. If you have any comments regarding the agenda tonight, please step up to the microphone. Limit those comments to 2 minutes. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to our board comments. So our athletic council, we did not meet tonight, but did get some information shared. Just wanted to share with the group. So as we wrap up the fall winter session, the wrestling team is our county and conference, hopefully conference champions. So the conference is this Saturday. So if you have time, please come out to support the team. Our girls swimming and diving won both the county and the conference. And our boys are runner-up in the county and conference champions. So great job there. There is a recognition, fall sports recognition this Friday. Important to note of the kids that we have, the caliber of kids that we have in the programs. On Friday, there's going to be 25 students that will be recognized as all county, all conference, or both. There's 2 students that are all state. There's 1 student that's a state qualifier, and then we have 8 students that are academic all state. And that's just from the fall. So that's really impressive. So congratulations to all those students as they come in on Friday. Collective bargaining, no update.
No report.
Communications,
Nothing to report.
legislative.
Nothing.
Mental health.
We had our first meeting. It was a lot of organization, but also we had 2 behavior interventionists come in and speak to us about what their jobs are. And then our next meeting is going to be February 11th.
Thank you. Music council.
We met tonight, and there's just some exciting things going on at this end of the building. Showfest is coming up at the end of the month, January 31st through the 1st. If you want to go, tickets are $25 for both days or $10, I think, for one. This weekend is the high school play, and then February 15th is the indoor percussion competition, and then also their drumathon is the end of this month, the 24th through the 25th. So big stuff going on.
Thank you.
Mhm.
RDC,
Nothing to report.
our superintendent strategic plan projects.
Employer of choice, you have any update?
Employer of choice. I do not have any updates at this time.
And then the strategic task force.
Yes, just a reminder, we're meeting on the 29th, and we're going to look at grades 5, 6, 7, and 8, and what should that look like for the future of our school district. Everybody's welcome to attend that session, and then we are still in line that in March, we'll have a review of the strategic plan with recommendations for approval in April as we move forward into the 2021 school year.
Nice. All right, moving on to the consent agenda items.
Move for approval.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on the items?
Mr. Lamb, I would like to note that we are recommending that Jess Admire Giles would be the new varsity volleyball coach. Jess did play volleyball at Indiana University, as well as she was a former Grizzly Cub coming back to coach the team. So we want to just highlight that as a recommendation for your approval.
Thank you. So all those in favor, please respond with a sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. It passes.
Thank you.
Moving to the superintendent reports. Dr. Clendenning.
Thank you. We are pleased to have two people share their 10X presentations with us tonight. First, we'll have Ms. Sherry Cave, who is an assistant at Webb Elementary, and she does a lot of great work there. But she's going to talk about her 10X trip. And then following that, we'll have Mrs. Stacy Halls, who's an English teacher at CBIS, sharing her trip across the pond. So, Sherry, come up, and then looks like Matt's going to help you drive your presentation. Here. Here you go. You can have this mic right here.
Yeah, that, but so I can move the slides along.
Yeah.
All right. Getting old, have to have glasses. Okay. Thank you for inviting me here. I was awarded a 10X grant last spring to visit Australia with my husband. I did with my husband. Let's see if we can, whoops. We put it in presentation mode. It was a.
Just scroll down.
Just scroll down. Just want to scroll. Okay. All right. I had it in Google Slides, but so okay.
There you go.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So I did it with my husband. I wanted to visit a couple of the public schools to observe their kindergarten or foundations, as they call them, and learn some new strategies to working with our students. I'm a kindergarten assistant. I also wanted to visit what's called the Aboriginal Literacy Foundation so that I could gain insights into the methods the foundation uses to help teach English to Aboriginal people. Unfortunately, I was not able to visit the foundation as they didn't reply to any of my emails I sent. And I did stop by twice and nobody was there. So I'm not sure what happened, but I visited 2 schools in the Victoria system. This is one of them. The other one, it was raining that particular day. The first was St. Kilda Park Primary, and the second was Windsor Primary. They're located just 3 miles from each other, but one has students from very affluent families, and the other has students from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Both schools teach in a similar fashion. They both co-teach. So what this means is their foundations is taught in one large room with 2 or more teachers instructing around 40 to 45 children. One teacher focuses on teaching the reading and writing portion, and the other on the math side of it. By doing this, the teacher that's not in charge can help the other children who are struggling and can go around and have a little more control. They also teach in smaller groups more often. We do that, but we don't do it a whole lot. We just don't have the manpower. So they teach in the smaller groups, and they allow the children that can work independently to be in a group while they focus on helping the children that are struggling. And they had one area, this was St. Kilda, and this was where 3 of the teachers all hung out together. So this was their area that was completely separate, kind of within the whole classroom. The rooms are divided into separate rooms or separate areas. So hold on, I've lost my place. I'm sorry. The rooms are divided into separate areas so that when they are in the smaller groups, the children can focus more on the teacher and less on what the other children are doing. The Windsor Rooms are also, this is the Windsor Rooms. And so it's one big room, and it's divided into sliding glass, I'm pointing on here, sliding doors so they can separate them and make smaller classrooms if they need to separate them into one class with one teacher. So one of the things that I learned while I was there was a behavior plan that they've implemented. And I'd like to try to do it here. I'm not sure how. They have an individual plan for the children who have behavior issues, which may be causing them to struggle academically. So some of the students who have these very serious issues have a separate work area. The area is close enough to where they can see the teacher and interact with the teacher, but yet it's separate so that they can focus better. And when they're done with independent tasks, there's a
things that he can choose, a reward type activity on his own that he and the teacher have agreed upon beforehand. And the teachers just absolutely love it. They say it works great. I was there the whole day. I saw no behavior issues from anyone. So that was great. I was amazed at how similar their issues and our issues are, being that we're on the opposite side of the world. So that really surprised me. The schools seem to have a little more autonomy. They get to, they're all part of the Victoria school system, which is the state that they live in, that Melbourne is in. But they get to choose their own curriculum and their own different methods of helping the students that are struggling or have needs of one or another. One of the schools uses a lot of parent volunteers that come in and out. And then the other one uses outside organizations in the town of Melbourne, which is where they're located, to help. Windsor Primary, which reminded me a lot of Webb, size-wise, it has they just implemented their zones of regulation, which I know Webb uses. I'm unfamiliar if everyone else does, but I know we do. But they use an outside organization that comes in and teaches it to the kids once a week. They get to learn what it is and how to use it. And they were so excited for it. It was amazing to see. So they also don't have as many standardized tests, which I know we don't have any control over. They have one national test they have to do a year, and then they have one test they do for the school. That's it. So that was nice. I'm going to set up a pen pal program with Windsor Primary. One of the teachers there that I met with them. They are on their summer right now, so this is going to start after they get back. But because I work with kindergarten, that may be a little more difficult just because of their level of reading and writing. So I've reached out to one of the first grade teachers at Webb and who has our high ability kids, and she's going to get with them, and they're going to work on starting a pen pal program. So, which is one of the things that was kind of extra, and I liked. So I'm hoping maybe we can get the rest of our first and second grades and stuff to come in on it. We also, while I was there, we also had some fun. We went to a town called Ballarat, and we hiked in this abandoned gold mine. It's a gold mining town that was in the 1800s. So we hiked in an abandoned gold mine. This was looked like a big pit. So, and not a mine that I thought of. We also visited a place called Healesville Sanctuary. It's a zoo, but it's a zoo that only has animals that are native to Australia. And it is a conservation and rehabilitation group. It has a hospital on site that you can visit. It's set up so that when you're walking through the animals' habitats, there's just a small fence or a roped off path between you and the animals, which is nothing like the other zoos I've ever been into. It was extraordinary. And they could care less that you were walking through. So they also have an encounter where you can choose to have an encounter, which we did. We chose to feed the kangaroos. These are Kangaroo Island kangaroos. They're smaller than the other kangaroos, and they're more docile. So we got to feed them. This particular kangaroo that we were put with has a joey in her pouch. They don't come out till they're about 5 months old. So you can't really see, but we got to feed her and she let us pet her. So, which was fun. We also visited a place called Phillips Island. My husband did it out of protest. His name is Philip. So I went, but it's the southernmost spot in Australia. So we were as close to the Antarctic as I could get. So, which was kind of cool. And I that's the Indian Ocean. So I had no clue it was called the Indian Ocean until I looked later. But I went in it and it was cold. We went in October, so it was like their spring. And then driving on the opposite side of the road, on the opposite side of the car, was a little tough, but I finally got the hang of it. So that was interesting. When I came back, I shared some of the pictures and my experiences with the 2 kindergarten classes that I worked with this year, and talked about what it was like to travel to the other side of the world. I brought them back some 5-cent pieces, so they got to see some differences in the money than what we have here. Thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity to visit a place I may not have ever been able to see, learn about their schools, and to make some new friends.
Thank you. Good job.
Our trips are eerily similar, so it's going to sound the same. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Stacy Hollis, and I'm a 5th grade teacher at CBIS. My 10X grant took me to England. I traveled in October during fall break. Throughout my teaching career, I have often wondered what classrooms must be like in other countries. Schools are so ubiquitous, and our similarities and our differences have always been a curiosity of mine. I was fortunate enough to find a school in England that welcomed me as a guest in their school. This was fortunate in 2 ways. 1, it's a country where I speak the language. And 2, it's also nearby where my son is attending a university. London was not my destination, but while we were there, we made sure to take in all of the must-see sites in the city. My husband was able to join me, and it was amazing to see places that we'd heard of most of our lives. This includes Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, the London Eye, a riverboat ride down the Thames, among many other places. So it took more selfies than I've ever taken in my life. I never felt unsafe, and the people were truly friendly and very delightful, and the rain didn't ruin the day at all. Of course, it was raining. On the second day, all of this was wonderful, but not the reason that I went to England. So on the second day, we took a train down to Exeter, a city in the southwest part of England. This is nearby where the school that I would be visiting is located. During this trip, I traveled in more taxis, buses, trains, and subways than I've ever traveled in my whole life. We rode in a lot of taxis, and I loved the taxi drivers. They taught me a lot about the local areas and asked a lot of questions about America, and they were extremely polite. We were able to stay in a small Airbnb that was in the backyard of a home in a typical British neighborhood, and I loved this. While waiting for the taxi to take me to school in the mornings, I was able to watch people leave for work. I was watching kids walk to school in their uniforms, and it just felt very British. So I loved that part. Much better than staying in a hotel and just being a typical tourist. Exeter is a beautiful city. It has a very old city center located near Exeter Cathedral. And if you're a Harry Potter fan, J.K. Rowling attended the university here. So there are many different parts in Exeter that my son says is inspiration for the Harry Potter, different locations in the Harry Potter stories. The school I was visiting was about 4 miles outside of Exeter, and it's a small village called Broadclyst. It's a nursery school through year 6 primary school. Year 6 is 5th grade. I spent 2 days in this classroom. Prior to my trip, Mrs. Hart, another 5th grade teacher at CBIS, joined me in producing a video about what makes Franklin so great. Students in both of our classes gave up part of a Sunday afternoon, and we went around to several different locations throughout the town, throughout Franklin, that we thought make our town great. And this helped me be able to share a little bit of our community during my trip. And that's us at Maine at Madison in the top left there. My son's a high school senior and has participated in the radio and television class here at the high school all 4 years, and he did all the filming and editing and all that stuff. I did have to sign a waiver when I got to the school to not use my phone, and it was kind of awkward to ask to take pictures anyway, so I don't have a lot of photos from the school, but I do have a lot that I am able to share. The first day there, the school had an all-school assembly, and I was so lucky to be able to participate in this. They started with a Bible reading and a prayer, which led me to lean over afterward and ask the teacher I was with if the school was private, because this really wasn't clear on the website. And she said it wasn't private, that it was public, and all of this was free except for students there pay for things that our parents would pay here for like uniforms or field trips and lunch and things like that, which this shocked me. Not only that they were able to just pray in a school assembly and read from the Bible, just everything about it with the uniforms and things looked very private. And then she taught me later, explain that the Church of England plays a huge role in the Department of Education over there. And from time to time, they might have students that aren't Christian, but they're very tolerant, and it's just the way things are over there. For the most part, I just sat and observed the 2 days that I was there. The year 6 classroom was taught in a lecture type venue with 64 students and 2 teachers that co-teach plus an assistant. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, so please don't get any ideas. I quickly saw that getting a classroom of chatty students quiet sounds the same no matter where you are, and I got tickled about that. They are a Microsoft school, and there's a large presence of technology used throughout the school. All the students use a Microsoft Surface tablet. There's a timetable with links to tasks for the entire week that's shared on Microsoft OneNote, so kind of similar to our Google Classroom. Students all had the same water bottles, the same notebooks, folders, same pencils and pens, so I assume that these things are all provided. The writing instruction is what really struck with me and what I enjoyed seeing the most. Despite being heavy on technology, all students handwrite 2 drafts before they type any writing assignment. The second day I was there, they were working on an assignment, and they spent the entire morning writing, and I didn't hear one complaint. Although I was not supposed to take any pictures, I did ask if I could take a photo of one of the students' notebooks, which is in the center. As I looked at each student's writing that was near me, all the handwriting was nearly identical from student to student, and I was gobsmacked, so I wanted a picture. I was able to see how they work specific goals for each student into the writing task and how they use brace maps, which is similar to our power writing. I walked away very impressed with their writing ability and a few tricks that I have tried in my own classroom. The teachers and I were able to discuss over their 1 hour and 15-minute lunch the similarities and differences in instruction, teacher duties, and special ed. And I loved it. Everyone was very welcoming and friendly. This is something I'd repeat in classrooms across the globe if I were able to do so. We ended with plans to try to include our classroom in some type of activity this semester. And our last day before we left for home, we were able to take the Eurostar to Paris just for the day. A day's not really long enough to do anything, but it's Paris, so it was nice to be there for a day. So it's a good ending to our trip. And I'm very grateful to the 10X. This was my second 10X grant, and both of them have very positively impacted me and my classroom. So I'm very grateful. So thank you very much.
Maybe we ought to make it a rule that you guys have to take a board member with you on these trips. Just thank you.
Hey.
Want to vote on that motion? All right. Next item is our financial report, Mrs. Gross.
I always have to follow these great presentations with the financial report.
Everything.
But I guess this is why they get to go on trips like this, right? So I'm pleased to report that we ended the year on a good note. We were able to save back about 3% of our budget. So we were at 97% expended. And that equates to 1.75 million. So pleased about that. We started the year off with about a $4 million cash balance in our education and operation funds. We ended the year with the 4 million plus another 160,000. So thank you for the grace period of getting to know the budgets and the procedures and everything. A couple of areas of concern where we went over budget. Special programs on the report is special education. It's kind of a moving target. I'm not sure that we'll ever be able to forecast accurately to the penny, but Jen, Scott, and I are working together just to try to plan a little bit more. But you never know what students are going to move into the district and what types of needs that they have and everything. So we'll continue to work on that. The other area we talked a little bit about the last meeting is support services, students. These are office staff, classroom assistants. We've had a lot of needs this year. A lot of behavioral incidents that result in needing more hands in the classroom. So I think that I've sat down with all the principals and gone over their budget. So I think we have a better understanding of what goes into those buckets, how much is budgeted for each employee. So I would anticipate this improving over the next year as well. On the 1782 notice that we met in December on, we received the revised 1782, which reflected an additional $477,000 in maximum levy. So as we discussed at the last meeting, we won't get that in appropriation, but we will get that in revenue.
They waive your fee.
They did waive the fee, yes. And then you approved a couple resolutions for year-end close at the December meeting. And so far, we've had to do one transfer. You'll see that on the loans from one fund to another. We had to transfer $129,277 to cover the deficit in book rental. So we'll do that, close the year out, and then transfer it back out again. And that's also a moving target, as I've learned. Any questions?
Great job.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
finding that money. That was awesome.
Thank
Keep doing
you.
that. We'll get along just fine.
I'll try,
Yes,
Ryan.
ma'am.
All right, thank you. Dr. Clendenning, the listening tour.
Yeah. Mrs. Groves and Mrs. Lauren and I traveled to all the elementaries, intermediate, middle school, and high school, as well as Kim Sperling, to talk to faculty and staff about, there were 5 questions we looked at. What do you like about being in that setting? What is it that we could do if we had a magic wand to make your job richer and more fulfilling? Also, we had a discussion about mental health and then any other needs as well. And then employer of choice. What is it that you'd like to see in terms of employer of choice that we're doing, like we're doing fitness and the 10X grants and those type of things. So we thought we would just share some highlights because all this information is going to be packaged inside the strategic plan as we move forward, as we've gathered information. So with that, I'll start. We'll just go down to Tina, the Brooke, and then I'll finish up as well.
So a couple of the things that I heard, there was a lot of discussion around substitute teachers, the lack of the struggle in getting classes covered. Some of the teachers at times have to use their prep period and cover someone else's classes. So we really need to do what we can to recruit more substitute teachers. With the employment market the way it is now, we, like everyone else, struggle to find people. I think Michelle does a great job. She has a couple of orientations each month to recruit new substitute teachers. So we'll just need to keep that momentum going. We have a social media presence for that now. So I think we're doing the right things and hopefully make some progress there. There was some comments about the low pay for substitutes. So that may be something that we take a look at in the future. And then there's some history of there being a substitute teacher in each building assigned to that building. We've gotten away from that in the last few years, but that could be something that we could bring back. And then switching gears to employer of choice. They love the 10X grants, as you've heard from everybody that's made their presentations. So I would be afraid if we took that option away. I'd be afraid for my safety, but a couple other programs. They think the yoga is great. Some of the people take advantage of the CrossFit, but that may be something that we take a second look at. A lot of the comments were, teachers have a long day. They have their own families to take care of. So the thought of leaving the classroom and going somewhere to work out sometimes just doesn't fit in. So we've also discussed the option of just doing some kind of fitness stipend. So they might be able to do something on their own in their own time. So that's something we're going to take a look at. But on the wellness side, I think we're going to hit reset and keep some of the things that are going really well and maybe take a look at other options. I think that's all I have. Go ahead.
I'm just going to touch on a couple of areas really briefly. One topic of conversation, especially at CBIS in the middle school, was the whole concept of the 5 through 8 experience. And I think Dr. Clendenning has already noted at the next strategic planning meeting later this month, we're going to have that on the agenda for that meeting. And so really talked about middle school. One of the things the teachers mentioned repeatedly was the concept of teaming and bringing teaming back and the benefits to students. And I think actually to our teachers, our faculty and staff as well. Cheryl and I visited Greenfield Central on Friday to kind of look at another intermediate school, and we're having conversations about what is an intermediate school and what does it look like, kind of where is that elementary feel and what does it look like in 5th grade and what does it look like in 6th grade? And so where does that fit? And where's the composition that makes the most sense? So I think that will be an ongoing conversation, but it's interesting to get some of that feedback from the teachers. So I look forward to this strategic planning discussion in January. Professional development was another huge topic that was mentioned repeatedly. And that's on a front, Kim and I we'll talk as well. Mental health came up a lot, and Tina came up again today. New teacher professional development and how we integrate new teachers into our community, new staff. In general, grade level changes. If you're currently teaching 3rd grade and you move to 1st grade, curricular development on those new resources and textbooks that you have. Content, again, Project Lead the Way, problem-based learning, working with students on IEPs and 504. So there were a number of things related to professional development that were topics that came up quite a bit. And so I think you'll see us look for strategies and ways to start addressing some of that a little bit more strategically in a systematic way.
I have the magic wand question. I will tell you, repeatedly we heard about student behaviors. I would say that was a common thread across all schools. And what can we do to address student behaviors? Obviously, we're going to look to Kim to help with the mental health aspect. But we're also looking at what we can do in terms of alternative education and special education. Both of those domains, I feel like we're going to be able to tap into and move forward with the plan inside of our strategic plan. But the teachers overwhelmingly will tell you that they see a rise in student behaviors that's taking away from that learning of all kids. And so we need to be able to address that. What was great about our district, I will tell you, everybody said family, collaboration, and the college that they were working with. Each building would just talk about how they enjoyed being there because of the people that they interact with. So I think that spoke volumes to our district and who we are. But that's a real quick overview of what we heard. We're getting ready to send out to each school a 1-page summary of what we heard so they can see that. And then we will package to the board and the community a large document that says, this is what we heard from everybody. So you're getting to hear the high level, most common things. We're going to drill down to some other things as well that we've talked about. But we're glad to field any of your questions with regard to listening to her. It was a great thing. This was the 3rd time that I've actually gone out and participated in this. My first one was my very first year. And then we did it again with Dr. Seaver, Deb and I, and then with the new team. And each time it just grows both in what I get to learn, but also what we can ascertain is a really great place to go to school for our kids. Our teachers are superstars. Our classroom assistants, support staff, everybody should be commended for their fine work.
Questions or comments?
The only question I have, I think it's a really great learning opportunity for everyone. What's going to be, after you generate this report, kind of what's the next steps?
Many of the high level things will get action steps inside of our strategic plan, and then we'll continue to track those back as we move forward over the next several years. So we'll definitely see some tangible things come out of this. We'll see projects as well. There's like special education. You know, part of our guiding principle of systemic thinking is how do we make the best choice for our school district? So you're going to see some people step up and they're actually going to lead some of these projects to make sure that we're getting the best answer for us. So that's the other thing that you're going to see out of these different questions.
Other comments? Thank you. Let's move on to the action items. This is gross. First item we have is the preschool after school care rates.
Yes, we had this as a topic on the discussion item for last month's meeting. And what we're proposing is an increase in Cub Care, which is after school care, and Cub Academy rates. On the Cub Care side, we're proposing to go from $12 to $15 per day with no increase for free and reduced students. And then next slide, on the Cub Academy side, this would be an increase in the weekly rate from $155 to $165, no increase for half-day students, but also an increase in our discount for employees from 5% to 10%. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this topic.
When does this take effect?
This would be for the 2021 school year. And we start registration for those programs in February.
Okay.
Any other questions? I have a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Thank you. All those in favor of increasing the care rates, respond with a sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sewell, up for the application for the radio frequencies.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Last month, I presented this application that will allow us to expand the number of frequencies we use in our two-way radio communication system to help us manage emergency situations. So I'm submitting this application for the board's consideration to approve that application process and let us take the next step in that.
All right, any questions? I have a motion.
Move for approval.
Thank you. All those in favor of passing the application, respond with a sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Sewell. It passes. You're up for the next item, the resource officer.
Mr. Lamb, I felt a little sheepish after that last agreement, and I have corrected the spelling of your name. I'll do a better job shepherding the projects in the future.
Then I move for approval. All those approving, respond with a sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Sewell. All right, moving to the new policies and bylaws.
I don't think I have any puns like Mr. Sewell, but I would like to recommend that we adopt the Neola policies as written, Roman numeral 1 through Roman numeral 12. As we said last time, most of these are just additions with the state laws to bring us, but there's nothing significant change from our present languages.
All right, any questions?
Move for approval.
Thank you. All those in favor of passing these bylaws, respond with a sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Dr. Clendon.
Thank you.
All right, moving to discussion items. We have Mr. Ahouse, the new course descriptions.
Right through the course changes this year, I think most of the courses, if you've looked through those, go along with something that we've already committed to on some level. And we're trying to expand those, grow those programs, do things. The first would be first two AP classes. It's a component called an AP capstone. So one thing that, as I came over to the high school, one thing I would really like for us to do is get a real idea of why kids are taking courses. And sometimes we tend to just look for maybe the most challenging courses. We just take a bunch of AP cap classes, take a bunch of courses, maybe it'll raise my GPA as high as I can, but can you accomplish that and still get some things that are really helping you at the next level, the next step? So why are you taking it as much as, can you just take as many challenging courses, or can we offer a bunch of things? So one component of that is the AP capstone. So if you see there, we have AP seminar and AP research, which are actually classes that then kind of enhance the AP experience. So if you think about research at the college level, AP research, it's designed around kind of getting students ready for that. The AP seminar is a class that then ties into, so it would actually not be an added course. It would be a change to a course. So something like AP Lang would then be AP Lang seminar that you can tie in together so that they're doing more type projects type stuff, seminar type stuff. So you think a lot about you're working together in groups, you're taking on these challenges. But you tie it into a course. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be AP Lang, but I think a lot of what they do in there, from what we've been told, then pulls directly into the AP Lang, like the AP test. So students that take that along with AP Lang at the same time, it's the same course. The success rate on taking the AP Lang test has been very good. So that would be the first course. So what's in white there, next year we would offer that as AP Lang seminar. So we're still working on some of the details. And what you see as AP research couldn't be taken until the next year. So it's in yellow because we would not be able to offer it until the following year. So those students would then take that, and that's called what AP calls, you have to take some other courses along with it, then it's called the AP capstone. So when they're done, they actually get recognition for having gone through this capstone project. So we'd like to see that develop. I think we've got the avenue to do that. That would just be kind of enhancing, I think, what we're doing with the AP experience and really starting to ask questions about why are you taking some of these courses. Not that they're not all valuable and important, but some students have an idea of what they want to do, and are we directing them into getting the most prepared for that? Beyond that, there's several. I think the next few are all into the project Lead the Way. Where I don't know if that's able to be scrolled up there. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt you on your phone. Matt and I have a good relationship. So actually, the next one's plant and soil science. That's in our ag department. We're trying to do the same thing in our ag world, is trying to figure out what are the courses we offer, why do we offer them. Graduation pathways are coming, so we have to and we need to create these pathways for students. So specific courses align so that a student can go into ag and they can take that succession of courses and get that completer. So plant and soil science is one of those courses, which also means then that something else may have to go. So we're kind of looking at what are students not taking. We have some things in the course book that we rarely are able to fill. And we have some courses that sometimes are nice to teach, but is that really leading these students into some of the things that they need to do? So we're having that conversation. We're really pleased. We've talked about what the ag department is doing. There's some really amazing things that are getting accomplished in there. So now we're kind of tightening up the coursework on that. So we're adding that course. The next one on there is medical intervention. That is the next step in Project Lead the Way Biomed. So the first 2 years of that have gone well. The next step is medical intervention. So we're getting ready to move to that next step. Engineering essentials is the next step in engineering. So we have year 1 of Project Lead the Way engineering going. This is year 2. So we would be adding that on. And then computer science is kind of an interesting, engineering and computer science, the state and Project Lead the Way are still trying to work out all those details. But computer science, and if you scroll down, there's actually others that I have here, I think maybe towards the bottom of that screen. But we have a choice between cybersecurity and AP Science principles. But cybersecurity would be the next one that we're going to do. We're just not certain this AP Computer Science Principles and an AP Computer Science A. We're just going to have to see how the program goes. So we're not certain we can get to Computer Science A. We're just going to have the students that go into these programs in order to be able to fill that 4-year Project Lead the Way program. So then we're offering principles and cybersecurity. We'll offer those two. We're pretty certain we can get to that level. We'll just have to see in another year how that's working. So we're going to make a real push to get students who are interested in that area. We opened an esports club, and like 140 students showed up the first day to just be involved in that. So I think the interest is there. If we can create the programs, if we can build the excitement around it, I think the experience has been good in year 1. So I'm optimistic that year 2, we're going to be able to keep expanding that. So the rest of anything in yellow is just ones that we're looking. Go ahead, and we hope to get them approved, that if we get to those stages that they would be approved. But we just can't offer them because it's a step process. So we just kind of see each year how it goes. So.
I like the way it's going. Great.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. Yep. Sorry, Matt.
This is gross, the home office policy.
Can you see? Sorry. I think you're fine.
Yeah, so this is a policy I'd like the board to consider adopting. I went to Dr. Clendenning a few weeks ago and said, I'd really like to pilot a work at home program for a couple of my employees. One was here tonight, Carrie Hoffman, who processes all of our payroll, and the other being Cammie Hoffman. She does all of our bank reconciliations, manages our grants, and manages the reconciliation of our benefits. So a lot of detailed, very focused work, but very structured as well. So a couple of reasons for this. I think home office is a great retention tool. Offers people some flexibility and the ability just to have that home office. So employer of choice kind of goes along with in the spirit of that. And the other thing is we are out of space in the administration building. So it really kind of alleviated some of our space concerns by having the potential of moving those two people out. Matt was a great resource in getting them set up in their home office and making sure that they had all the technology they needed and access to the systems and everything. So it's working very well. And when I pitched the idea to them, they were a little reluctant at first, but they're all in now. So they really like that flexibility. And they both live close, so they pop in and pick up paperwork and things like that. But I think they're really enjoying the flexibility and to be able to focus on their work and stuff. So the policy that you have in front of you just outlines what that structure looks like, what the expectations are. There's an agreement that we've drafted behind the scenes to outline schedules and who's responsible for which equipment and internet lines and those kind of things. So all the detail that would go behind that. So, this isn't for everyone. These positions I have are very structured. If if people don't get paid, I'm going to know it. If
Right.
grant reports don't go in, I'm going to know it. So it's pretty easy to supervise that that the work is being done. Roger Mr. Young has also reviewed the policy and brought up a couple concerns about the ghost employment and whether or not these individuals would be covered under a workman's comp policy. So I did reach out to our carrier, and he was able to confirm that they would be covered, just as any other employee would be in our building. So I am asking for the board to consider this over the next month or so. Let me know if you have any questions, and then I will be back next month with the policy as an action item.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Sounds good.
Moving into the Coke versus Pepsi.
Coke versus Pepsi. This has been a fun project. All the principals are laughing too because they've been involved in this. So our 5-year contract ended with Coke on December 31st. And so I've been working on this for several weeks. But one thing that complicated the timing was the fact that we had to end up pulling food services out of the proposal. And the reason is that will have to be competitively bid, that contract, because of the food services receiving federal funding. So the informal process of us just soliciting proposals isn't enough for food services. So we removed food services from those proposals for consideration. So that left the vending contract and the direct sales, which is the concessions. So what you see in front of you are specifically for those two areas. So the annual sponsorship, Coke has proposed $5,000, Pepsi $7,500. The annual donation of product, Coke is proposing 100 cases of free product and Pepsi 200. Vending commission, Coke is proposing 25% and Pepsi 30%. And then the product pricing is outlined for water, sports drinks, and soft drinks. Those are the 3 most popular things that we order. Pepsi starts out lower, but as you can see on the next line, the annual increase product cost, Coke wanted to leave that open, so they'll increase pricing at their discretion. On here, it says that Pepsi can increase their pricing up to 3%, but it's actually going to be 4%. I'm not as good a negotiator as I thought I was. I kind of jumped the gun on that, but at least we would know what we were getting into. Another advantage of Pepsi is they, from the start, they'll put card readers on all of our vending machines. And I think that will increase our vending sales automatically. Coke is only willing to do that on those machines with high volume, so probably just those in this building. And then Coke also wants to put a minimum required sales of 10,110 cases, whereas Pepsi won't have a minimum sales requirement at all. And what that will mean is, even though it's a 5-year contract, we'll be with Coke until we reach that 10,000 case minimum target. So it's not unreasonable. We in the last year we were about 2,600 cases. So that's not an unreasonable number. It's just if vending sales continue to go down like they have in the last few years, it may string it out a little longer than the 5. So we are recommending a change to Pepsi, considering all the elements outlined above. We have also had a lot of trouble with the customer service element of Coke. They're non-responsive. Northwood had expired product in their machines since last summer, and they just came out in December to change those out. So it hasn't been great, especially in the last few months.
Is this a 5-year contract as well?
It would be, yes.
And I believe we get $1,000 from
Yeah.
Pepsi for athletics, correct?
Yes. The athletic department would also get $1,000 on the Pepsi side. And they would also get a $1,500 Gatorade sports pack for the sporting teams as well.
Sounds like a pretty easy decision.
It is pretty cut and dry, I think, even though I'm a Diet Coke drinker.
I'm a Coke drinker,
You know,
too.
was it Cuba Gooding Jr. that said, "Show me the money"?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it boiled down to.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to board administrative comments.
I have a comment. Just note the tragic loss of Doug Abney last week, who was a friend of the school corporation and a big supporter of FFA. And so just keeping that wonderful family in our thoughts and prayers as they grieve and try to put their life back together.
Thank you. I'd also like to extend a big thank you to Mrs. Gross and her team for all the work that you've done over the last few weeks with the referendum, getting the salaries in place, getting all that set up for this month. So thank you, pass to your team. Thanks for that.
I will do that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Dr. Clendenning?
I just want to make everybody aware of House Bill 1001, and this is going to pass with the number 1 in the slot for the House bill, but it looks at the hold harmless due to I-Learn scores, and this would allow us to decouple both teacher evaluations and achievement with regard to their salary. So they're looking at doing this for a 2-year period, not just this year, but also for next year. But I did want to bring this up to you in case something goes kind of haywire. Next month, I would like to reserve the opportunity that maybe we would pass a resolution in support of something like this, just so that everyone would know that where we're standing on this. It's my indication, and from everyone I've talked to, that it's gonna pass, and it will be done quickly. But just in case something does happen, and you never know, I would like to just reserve that right. Maybe we would pass a resolution. I've talked to Mr. Lamb about that as well, as we would think about moving forward.
Any comments? Thank you, sir. Moving on to the calendar.
Just a reminder, we are off school Monday, and then we do have Cub Care preschool registration coming up with Mrs. Smith, and that is going to be at Northwood Elementary. Is that correct?
But we moved it to February 13th.
We did move it to, okay.
Waiting on it.
All right, so please note that change, February the 13th.
Same time, same place.
Okay, we do have a work session on February 6th for strategic plan. We will be meeting at the Fairfield Inn. We'd like to begin at 8:45, and we will conclude at 3. Is that right? I think that's right.
Yes.
So it will be a long day. We have a lot of good information to share with you, but that's where we will provide breakfast and lunch. I want to thank Mrs. Campbell ahead of time for that, because she's helped pull that together for us. On February 17th, that is President's Day for us, and normally that would be a day off, but because of the Red for Ed Day back in November, we had to cancel school. So I would like to propose that we would use one of our e-learning days for that day, so that the kids would not come to school on February 17th, nor the teachers, but we would have an e-learning day. So teachers would be required to provide assignments, would be required to be available by connection either through technology or phone to answer any of those, and the students wouldn't have to turn in their assignments as we have that outlined in our e-learning policy. So I just wanted to run that by the board to make sure you're feel comfortable with that as well.
Sounds good.
It's a good idea.
All right. That will conclude the calendar.
All right. Open up to public comments. Yes, sir.
Just a quick advertisement. My oldest daughter, Kathleen Kirby, graduated from Franklin 4 years ago. She is now a senior at Purdue, and she sings in the women's choral group up there called the Purduettes. Next Friday, actually a week from Friday, on the 24th at 7 o'clock, the Purduettes are coming down to have a hometown concert for Kathleen, since she will be a senior. This is her last year as a Purduette. So I'd like to invite everybody there. There is a $5 charge. The interesting thing about their music programs up there, as opposed to IU or Dr. Clendenning and I went to college, they do not have a music program. So all of the choral groups, the bands and everything, it's all volunteer work. Everybody who's in those areas, they're going to school for completely different things. They're not music majors, has nothing to do with it. So any money that goes to the program is considered a donation. It goes to the program, since they are affiliated with Purdue, but the money isn't. But I would just like to invite everybody a week from Friday here at the PAC. It'd be a $5 entry fee. So thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Any other comments? Okay, with that, we'll close the meeting tonight. Thank you.
Good job, Lisa.